Trivial Pursuit. If you've lived in the 80s, I'm sure you've played at least one version of it. Now, the board game itself is much harder than the Wii title, since at least the Wii version has multiple choice answers to choose from. Everyone who has played this game remembers the thrill of when you actually get an answer of one of these questions right. Unfortunately, in this board game, that won't happen very often, unless you're very smart. While the answers are multiple choice this time, that doesn't make the questions any easier, and most of the time you'll still be guessing. The goal of this game is to fill up your token with category slices of a pie wedge. When you land in the right space, you have the chance to win a piece of the pie wedge for your token. Once you have them all filled up, you move to the center to answer one last question for the win. Now, while that's still the basic way to play the game, the way you do that has been changed up on 2 of the modes in this game. There are a total of 3 ways to play this game, and I'm going to go over them all. Clear the Board is a version where every time you land on a space, they make that space dead for the rest of the game, whether you get the question right or wrong. This helps make the game very fast, because it will get easier and easier to get to the places where you can win wedges for your token. This is the only single-player version of this game, and it's also the most interesting version. After you get a piece of the pie for your token, it shrinks the board a little, so it makes it even easier and quicker to get to the spaces you want to get to. Then there's the multiplayer games, where you or 2 or more players battle it out. There's the normal Trivial Pursuit game, to play with all the normal rules if you want to play that. However, I found that really dull after playing the other versions they had to offer. The more exciting multiplayer game is called Fact and Friends. Everyone shares the same token to fill up, with pie wedges. However, these wedges will only be filled up slowly by answering questions. Before answering the questions, you'll bet to see if you think the person will know the answer to the question. Or you could say that you know the answer. And if you do that and the person gets it wrong, you'll have the chance to answer that question and steal the slivers of the pie wedges for yourself. Also on the board are bonus events that are just tweaks to the questions, like making you answer the questions in half the time or double the points. After all the pie wedges are filled up, the ones that are yours will be turned into hearts, and you'll face off against your opponent. And this face-off will end when the players have no hearts. The major problem with this game is the fact you actually have to read the questions. Sometimes that's really hard to do. The font is too small, and it tends to blend in with the background. Now, they have an announcer for this game, and I don't know why they didn't use him to read the questions. It seems like his only job was to make stupid comments.
I want to see a focused, intelligent answer now. So go get help. I'm just kidding. Another wedge disappears. If this gets any tenser, I'll need the toilet.
Now, at the bottom of the screen, they'll give you stats on the game you're playing. And I did find that kind of interesting, but they do give you the option to turn it off if it bothers you. I have always sucked at Trivial Pursuit, so it was no surprise to me that I was just as bad at this game. This version for the Wii is okay. The problem with reading the questions is the worst part of this game. Other than that, the game isn't bad. If you have a party coming up and you want to have a fast-moving trivia game for them to play, this game is worth a rent.